This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boatyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Try the John Bain sandwich on your next visit. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veteran discount.
Iowa Technology Systems of Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Your one-stop computer tech shop. If you, someone you know, or are a business that is having trouble needing laptop, PC, or business technology help, call us today. Visit iowatechsys.com.
Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. I'm at Mount Pleasant High School in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. It's Monday, December 8th, and the Board of Education held their meeting here. There is a lot on the agenda. In fact, I'll be breaking up this coverage of this meeting into several parts. On the agenda, call to order, roll call, approval of agenda, student spotlight, public hearing on a conveyance of real property, citizen comments, there were none, approval of minutes, claims, and financial report. FY27 financial projections, and a whole lot more. I'm not sure how I'm going to break this up, but I'm counting on you to watch.
All right, we have 6 o'clock, so we're going to call this meeting to order. Jessica, roll call.
Lynch.
Here.
Schrader.
Yes.
Overberg.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Hampton.
Here.
Maher.
Here.
Hurd.
Here.
Any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Lynch.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Overberg.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to, start the meeting off. We have student spotlight first. So instead of sitting down, you guys can all stand up and come up. But we're going to start with our mission statement. I don't think we talk about it enough, but the student spotlight is just one of our parts of continuing to live our mission statement, which is empowering students to achieve without limits. So we're starting off the meeting with our student spotlight, and we have middle school IJAG with us tonight.
Good evening, I'm Stacy Peterman. I'm the IJAG Career Education Specialist at the Mount Pleasant Middle School. We have part of our team, about 7 out of 48 students with us tonight, and we are just going to share a little bit about some projects that we've recently been doing and over the past few years that we have had our program. So this is our 3rd year at the middle school. Our program has grown with students. It's grown and changed in many ways. The number of students, new curriculum for 2 years in a row, variation in community service projects that are based on student interest. And one thing I have to say though is that our amazing students have not changed. Student ideas, their strengths, and the implementation of those through student projects are what have fueled it all. I will give you some background to our most recent project, and then students will introduce themselves and share about their involvement with projects that they've been a part of. First of all, I want to give a special thank you to Christine Lee and Avery Ped for working behind the scenes with me and putting this slideshow and presentation board together with excellence. Christine joined us just at the end of the first quarter this year, and we're so glad to have her with us. So, many of you might have seen on our school social media page, or maybe heard from someone at the school, that we recently had a coin drive at the middle school. IJAG became involved with that because we were just finishing a service learning unit called Caring in Action. Students had been learning about the 5 different social drivers of health, looking at the statistics for our community and deciding what area that they felt could be improved on. We had also had Martha Peterson, the student and family advocate of Mount Pleasant Schools, into our classroom as a guest speaker, and she helped point us towards information and resources for our projects. Student final projects were based on answering the unit's driving question: how can we find out what our community needs and create service learning projects to help? There were a variety of different great projects that came out of that unit. Several groups did food drives. One did a gift drive, or a clothing drive, a welcoming new students committee, help with housing for the homeless, pollution and trash cleanup, help for animals, bullying, and mental health.
Hi, my name is Camille Morrow, and I'm an 8th grader at the Mount Pleasant Middle School. Miss Peterman and Miss Orrs coordinated a coin drive at the middle school to raise money for the fellowship cup so they can buy perishable food items. IJAG and student council students made tags and bags for advisory classes. Every morning, they picked up the bags from the office and brought them back after the advisory. Through compassion and teamwork, the school raised $2,552.22 with an additional $500 from Hy-Vee for the fellowship cup.
My group intended on doing a food drive because we recognized that our community was lacking economic stability, and we wanted to help families that can't afford to get healthy food have access to it. The statistics we found to support this were, according to the Healthy Henry County website, the 2025 County Health Ranking states that 11% of people in Henry County do not have a reliable source of food. Plus, 10% of people had low income and did not live close to a grocery store. According to the Fellowship Cup's website, 1 in 6 Iowa children face food insecurity. This is the highest food insecurity since 2017. We had planned to partner with the local grocery stores in town, Aldi, Hy-Vee, and Walmart. We would like to still do this in the future. We first contacted Mr. Willie Amos after he had been a guest speaker in our classroom, and he wanted to partner with us. This is where the Hy-Vee donation came in for our coin drive.
Good afternoon, my name is Amanda Alanis. I'm an 8th grader at the Mount Pleasant Middle School. I'm here to talk to you about the food drive we did as a project. We focused on economic stability. We want to help low-income families gaining access to their nutritious food, as well as help them stretch limited budgets and reduce financial stress.
Good evening, I'm Vera.
We did practice, but you know. So I guess what I wanted to highlight and what we talked about with our food drive ideas and how it ended up with the coin drive was that it was a great example of how we can have similar goals but different ideas of how to reach the goal. And when we come together with others and choose to be flexible and have good communication and work hard together as a team, we can reach a common goal, which in this case was to help people in our community that are in need of food. That was my turn.
Good evening, I'm Veda Watson, an 8th grader at Mount Pleasant Middle School. I'm here to tell you guys about a bake sale that we're doing to raise money for Jamaica, which was hit by a horrible hurricane. A coworker that one of my mom's coworkers, whose name is Sean Lawrence, who is a nurse practitioner at the Jefferson County Hospital, family was directly impacted by the hurricane. Hearing about how horrible the hurricane was made me want to do something about it. So on December 12th, with the help of other IJAG members, we are planning to do a bake sale at the middle school dance. The money we get will be used to buy supplies for people in Jamaica. They need stuff like ropes, tarps, tools, tape, and etc.
Hello, I'm Avery Pett. I'm an 8th grade at Mount Pleasant Middle School. And today I'm going to be talking about Man Heights and our recycling at our middle school.
A project idea I had to help us stay positive at the start of the year is putting up affirmation posters in the bathrooms by the mirrors. With help of my friend Maddie. This puts out daily reminders of students' worth and capability, showing them that they're more than what's in the mirror. We hope to make a difference a little more day by day.
Okay, now I get to talk about Man Heights. So this is Man Heights. We went on a field trip to go do activities with the residents there. Right here, that picture, that is the shopping. We were able to take them shopping, go around the whole thing, and do what they would like. And then we also got to go to their rooms, talk to them, grandchildren, and then whatever old people like to talk about. What do they like to talk about? Their grandchildren. Big one. Then we also took them outside. We took them outside so they could get their sun. Because sun is good for you. These are also some of the notes we made for them. This is our school's recycling team. This one is from last year, and that one is our 7th grade. Recently, we collect paper and soda cans, bottles, so we can recycle them and create a healthy environment for everyone. So it can all be renewed and remade.
So last month we went on a field trip to the Indian Hills College, and it was a career day, and what we did there was we went to different careers and learned about how much you made and stuff. So like there was a firefighter career where they were talking to you about what you have to do to be a firefighter and what college you go to and how much you make. And then we went because we wanted to see different careers and what we wanted to do when we get older and just yeah.
This one is done by future career vet in Des Moines. I believe all these photos were taken last year or previous. There were a lot of activities to do here. One I remember was stuck on finding the right career for them. I feel like this was a good opportunity to spread out, try new things, and see what you would like to do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lady Ball. I'm an 8th grader at the Mount Pleasant Middle School, and I would like to talk about some things we do to help prepare students for their careers. One thing we did was have guest speakers come in, the most recent one being last Friday, which was Senator Dickey. He helped us get a real look into what his day is like and what his career is actually like. Another thing we do is we have teamwork activities, which shows kids how to practice essential skills for working in a team, such as communication and problem solving.
Well, thank you so much for having us tonight. We've enjoyed being here, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing what we had to share. And if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer.
I don't have a question, but I want to commend you students for what you've been doing for service projects. You have created a lot of great atmosphere in this community for what you've done. And the donations that you've been able to attract, showing that our students at Mount Pleasant Community School District are doing well, and we ought to be very proud of them. You need to toot your horn more.
Who would like to tell us what your favorite part of IJAG has been so far? Beta?
I think my favorite part of IJAG is just being with new people. Like, I have so many new relationships I never would have had if I didn't join IJAG. And also just being able to be more social and step out of my comfort zone more easily. I think IJAG just really builds you as a person and helps you step out of your comfort zone and just do things that you normally wouldn't have done.
We have more.
My favorite thing is just being able to come out here and talk. I love talking. I love talking. I'm passionate about everything. I love being passionate. I love coming out here. I love talking and meeting every one of you. And many of you, I'm going to shake your hands. Very polite. Thank you.
One of the many things I like about IJAG is that it's helped me in all of my weaknesses and made them strong. I could barely talk in front of people when I was in 6th grade, and being in IJAG for 2 years has really helped me. And I love being in the program where I can just express myself and talk to many different people, and it gives me a lot of opportunities that I've never had before, and it just helps me a lot, and I think helps a lot of people too. I've seen many people grow and go in a different direction of what they've been going to.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Pfeiffer Sawmill, your local home for kiln-dried lumber and affordable trailer decking to your specifications, all in Rome, Iowa, serving Mount Pleasant and all surrounding areas. Do you like to throw a hatchet? They've got your board. Call Ben today at 319-931-4544.
All right, next on our agenda, we have the public hearing on the conveyance of real property.
So before you asked if there are comments from the public, I would like to go through some of the documents related to this public hearing. What we're talking about two properties. Most of you are familiar with what we have fondly called the metal building over the years. This has been the home of our central receiving here on the west side. Wisdom Quest has been in the middle, and buildings and grounds has been on the east side of this property. The mailing address is 400 East Madison. The actual address, there is a legal description in the documents, but it's actually part of 307 East Monroe, which is the city address here. This is the city offices. So it's this property here. This building is now vacant, except for the Buildings and Grounds Department is working their way to vacate that and get everything moved out to the RTM. So it's this property here, and this property right here is the driveway off of East Madison. So those are the two properties that we're talking about this evening. We have a purchase agreement that is prepared with the city. Tonight, the board will, when we get to to new business in the agenda, the board will consider a resolution to pass the purchase agreement. The purchase price of those properties is $116,000. That is the appraised value. We had those properties appraised a year ago in September of 2024. I did tell the board members in our committee meeting last week, the purchase agreement does include easement for access to the fiber optic cabinet that is still in that building. We will need access to that until we have a different way of providing fiber optic services to our school district. The purchase agreement has been reviewed and actually put together by our attorney. We have a closing date potentially of January 23rd. If both parties agree and everything works, we could actually close sooner than January 23. So that's all of the information there in the purchase agreement, which has been posted online. The actual legal description is here in Exhibit A, that is referred to in the purchase agreement, and these are the parcel numbers from that. The resolution itself that the board will consider in new agenda, again, is the conveyance of real property to the city of Mount Pleasant. That's what will be at that purchase price, everything that was in the purchase agreement. And that is also listed in the resolution. So, and the description of the property is in the resolution. All that has been posted on the website. It was also the public meeting, or the public hearing was posted for this evening. So
that was modification of that closing to be 2026. This document says 25.
This document here?
Down at the closing of possession, section 6, January 23rd, 2026.
Let me get to it.
It's on the first page.
Section 6. Okay, yeah, I will get that. We'll definitely get that changed. Yeah, so yes, the purchase agreement would be January 23, 2026.
All right. Have there been any written objections filed?
No, I have not received any communication, objections or affirmative regarding this.
Does the board have any comments? Now is the time for public comment. Is anybody here to speak on the public hearing? All right, hearing none, this will close the public hearing. Next up is citizen comments.
No one contacted me to speak to the board.
All right. Next up is approval of minutes, claims, and financials. We did discuss at the finance committee meeting about financials. Jessica is going to speak on that. We still don't have resolution on the final financials, so the motion will be for minutes and claims again, and in January we will then approve the last 2 months. It will be the last 3 months of financials. So Jessica is going to give us an update.
So the update is we put a ticket in with Infinite Campus, as you do with most software companies. Have a ticket, they email back and forth with you. That wasn't going so well because I had a lot that I needed to explain. So we finally were able to Zoom with Infinite Campus early last week, and the issue has been resolved. As of that meeting, the issue has been resolved, so all of the online transactions from that date, I believe it was the 1st of December. I want to say December 2nd, actually, is when our Zoom meeting was. All of the online transactions that are received December 2nd on are automatically going to be accurate. However, going back July 1st to that date, they were trying to come up with a solution so we wouldn't have to go through every single transaction to make sure that, for instance, a yearbook goes to the yearbook account or lunch money goes to a lunch money account. However, as of today, when a couple of our secretaries met with Infinite Campus for another issue, they said, you know, you can continue to wait or you can start going through transactions one by one. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going through transactions one by one. I've went through July and August. I'm halfway through September. I will wrap that up and it will be ready for the July board meeting for financials. I did want to know from the gentleman that we Zoomed with, the representative, because my number one concern was if someone makes a payment on Infinite Campus for a lunch account or something, is it getting credited to their account? So that was my main concern. I can figure all of the other stuff out in time, but they did assure me that yes, and they gave me examples to go back through so they could show me that yes, if Jessica Boyer put $50 in her lunch account, it was showing up there. So I can confidently relay that information to you. It's just a hiccup moving forward because I want to make sure I'm a very black and white gal. I want to make sure that everything is completely accurate and that all of the totals in the accounts from the online payments that we're receiving are reported correctly. So that's why I held off on giving any sort of numbers right now. So yeah, I will have those all for you as I go through all of the transactions one by one. So yep.
Any questions on that?
So this was determined to be on Infinite Campus's end, that whatever the glitch was, they're owning that?
It was a setup issue, so I'm not sure how many years you guys have had Infinite Campus, but we're going back to July 1. Speaking with the auditors, the CAR's already been done, audits have already been done, so it's kind of an inherited issue, so to speak, but we caught it and we're fixing it as of July 1 moving forward.
And to reiterate, it's between the balances, like all of the money So if
Cash
there was,
is, yes, the cash is there, the bank statements are all balanced, it's just, I can't, completely with confidence say that, for instance, the yearbook money, if I think that it has $420 in there and it's actually showing that it has $1,200 in there, is some of that milk money, is some of that instrument rental money. It's, you know, when we went back and looked through with the representative, it was when everything was set up, however long ago that was, so, yeah. Just kind of caught it recently.
any other questions? Do you want to go over the fiscal year 27 or?
Yep, yeah. Yeah, I can do that, and then you'll approve, okay. Okay, what I wanted to do just quickly, as we did at our last meeting, because this does obviously affect financials, there, as we head into the start of the legislative session in January, there's been a lot of conversation about, well, what is state supplemental aid going to look like? What kind of level is that going to be? We have heard anywhere from 0% to 2%. So we did this last month. I'm going to just quickly run through this exercise with you again. I did this with the Finance Committee on Friday, just to hopefully to build your capacity a little bit on kind of how the school side of finance works a bit. So let me just run through this. These are possible new money calculations for fiscal year 27. So we are currently in fiscal year 26. We're in the school year 25-26, but we are in fiscal year 26. So these are calculations. The school district's fiscal year runs from July 1 through June 30th. And so on July 1 of 2025, we started fiscal year 26. So these are new money calculations for fiscal year 27. What do we know? We know that on October 25th, our certified enrollment was 1,705.21. Okay? So if you said there was no increase at all in state supplemental aid, and that amount stayed at $7,988, that would be a 0% increase. The simple math is you take your certified enrollment and multiply that times the dollars per pupil, and you come up with $13,621,217. Those are called regular program dollars. Regular program dollars. So then, the next part of the calculation is you're going to take the previous year's regular program dollars, the year that we're in, fiscal year 26. The previous year regular program dollars, $14,035,715. So we're going to subtract from that what we just calculated, the 13,621,217. We're going to subtract that from that, and you can see in that scenario at 0% SSA, we would receive $414,498 less than the previous fiscal year. Any questions to this point? Okay. In Iowa, school districts are guaranteed, you are guaranteed at least 1% of the previous year's regular program dollars. They call it the 1% guarantee, or some people call it the 101% guarantee. So you're guaranteed that in, quote, new money. So 1% of the fiscal year 26 regular program dollars, this number right here, 1% of that is $140,357. You're guaranteed at least that amount in new money. And the reason that they do that is because if you have low SSA, if you have reduced enrollment, they expect you to make adjustments in your budget, but they're giving you, basically giving you a year to get that done. You know, they're saying we're guaranteeing you 1%, but you're going to have to make the adjustments in that year. So we started out $414,498 less than the previous year, and we're guaranteed that 1%. So what we have to do is we have to add these two figures together, and that is what's called our budget guarantee amount. And again, in this scenario, at 0%, it's $554,855. So to get that 1%, first of all, you have to, I'll just say you got to climb out of the hole $414,000, because that's where we started. And then that gets you to 0, that gets you even, and then the additional 1% here. So you add those two together, and you get the budget guarantee amount of $554,855. Now, if the board decides that yes, we want that cash, we will need that cash, that is a local property tax. You have to levy for that amount in this scenario at 0%, $554,855. And what that does, it guarantees you 1% new money. If during the budget, the budget process, the certified budget process, the board decides that yes, we're going to levy for that amount, the tax levy impact on generating $554,855 is just over 80 cents per thousand. And the way that you get that is you take $554,855, you divide it by the taxable valuation per thousands. So our taxable valuation, you can see here, 689,905,000. So you're doing that is thousands. So 554,855 divided by the taxable valuation, it's going to take just over 80 cents to raise $554,855 local property tax. Okay? Any questions on that and how that's calculated? I did, that was 0%, and I'm not gonna, I won't walk all the way through this, but I wanted you to see what the tax impact on a 1% increase. Here's 1% in SSA, which takes the per pupil dollars to this amount here, and we'll just go all the way down to the bottom. If it was 1%, then the budget guarantee amount becomes $418,438. And at 1%, if you were going to levy back for the budget guarantee amount, you're going to be at about 61 cents per thousand. Any questions on all of that? In the committee meeting, someone asked, well, when do we consider all of that? Well, we consider that specifically when we start the certified budget process in this spring, in March. We have 2 hearings on the certified budget process, and of course it has to be completed by April 15th.
And just to reiterate, we've gone over several times now, but through the projection tools that are found on the Iowa State School Board Association's website, we have done the models, and we don't get off of that budget guarantee, or we don't have a scenario in which we don't fall under that for fiscal year 27 outside of a 4% SSA.
That's correct, Aaron. Just a little over 4%.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it would take a little over 4% for us to be off of the budget guarantee for fiscal year 27. Yeah.
Is there currently a levy in place for the budget guarantee?
We are not on the budget guarantee this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve minutes and claims.
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Flint.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Overberg.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, now we have reports, instructional reports. So first, with our elementary entities.
All right, hi guys. For those of you who haven't seen us up here multiple times this year, we're back on our second or third tour. We kind of lost track of our count. I'm Katie Sands. I am the principal at Harlan Elementary.
I'm Melanie Clore. I'm blessed to be the principal at Van Allen, which is a 3rd through 5th grade building.
And I'm Ashley Hoyer. I'm the building principal at Lincoln Elementary, which houses our 1st and 2nd graders, but also I'm the principal at Salem Elementary that has one section of kindergarten through 5th grade.
So we are here tonight to talk about, at the beginning of the year, we started a new master schedule. So we are here tonight to give an ongoing update on how that's going.
So we're going to circle back to kind of what we talked about last time. We really are looking at this implementation of going grade alike as phases, and it doesn't mean that a phase is in a year. It could be 3 to 5 years, it could be 1 to 2 years. It kind of depends on our productivity, our culture, and all of these factors that we're looking at. So we were looking at just kind of phase 1 is really building that foundational piece. Last year it was a lot of managerial pieces, traditions, what are we keeping, how do we align all of our elementaries, and we're still in that phase. And then also phase 2 is really tightening up our implementation of practices, instructional pieces, still tightening up our managerial pieces as well. And then phase 3 is, what's it look like as an impact on our students? What does it look like on our community? How do we need to refine and continue to strengthen our pieces? And then phase 4 is really sustaining the work and thriving through that work. So that's just kind of where we're at, but I would say right now we're still in phase 1. It's not so much the bus arrival and dismissal, it's more of the instructional practices, our master schedule that we're going to heavily hit tonight, and just kind of that mid-year check and how we're implementing our practices leaning into phase 2.
All right, well, if you were able to attend the SIAC meeting the other night that Dr. Butler and Mr. Henriksen facilitated, we spent a good amount of time talking about how Mount Pleasant is a professional learning community, or a PLC. So at the elementary level, we are doing our best to develop a master schedule that really hits on the 3 focus areas of a PLC. Those 3 focus areas are focus on learning, developing a collaborative culture, and also being results-oriented, utilizing data to make decisions. So one way that we are working really hard to live that out is by developing a schedule that allows for that. So previously, our schedule only allowed for our teachers to collaborate on Friday early outs. And we heard a lot of feedback that our teachers wanted more time together to collaborate. And so this year, what we did was we made a shift to try to develop a balance between instructional time and teacher collaboration. And so we realize that there are still things that need to be changed, but we are definitely one step closer to getting that really good balance. But right now we do realize that there are still some things that we're finding out that need to be tweaked. With all that being said, we are still working very hard to become that results oriented so that we can achieve the goals that the district has set, but also the goals that we've developed in each of our buildings to then feed into those district goals.
So as we are strengthening that foundational support with the infrastructure of our master schedule, some of the factors that we really look at are our priorities during our collaboration time, whether we're purposefully planning, which if that's a new phrase to you, it's really what does it look like and sound like in all of our grade levels or all of our title teams or special education services. How can we really grow with each other and make it better for our students? And so that takes a lot of conversations, and so whether it's purposeful planning or we're outlining and analyzing data for our Tier 1 services, for all of our students, or our Tier 2 services where they might need some interventions or extensions, and then also our special education services. So we're really trying to focus in on that. And so we really want to connect that work and not make it an isolated work, and so that takes some time and some wrestling with the data, wrestling with what is the best highly impactful routine that we're using, or what does that look like in kindergarten. I know that Ms. Sands last time talked a lot about how are we pronouncing this sound, using the visual phonics with it, and what does that look like for our students. And so we know that we have some positive things that are happening from our master schedule. One is our Fridays. Our specials teachers like art, music, PE, they actually take students, and this is kind of a rare opportunity within our district. They take students based on data to extend or remediate. So if a student's struggling, they can say, hey, I'm going to take these groups of students and I'm going to have some chunks of time to help them strengthen that skill. Or maybe they need some extension in art and they can build upon those standards during their Friday. We know that we want to refine some things. One thing is STEM and computer science standards are coming down the pipeline, and so we're continuously learning our programs through that. We're trying to coach our teachers on that, and so there's things that we're trying to iron out there, as well as we're continuously refining our highly impactful routines. What is best for our students right now based on our data, getting observations with our teachers, so teachers are now able to observe each other, they co-plan together, they co-reflect, which is really neat to see, but it still takes time to refine those practices. And so really tonight, that's kind of what we've noticed so far. And like Ms. Sands said, we still need to focus in on that. This is like our mid-year check, and so we're leaning into what do these practices look like and how are we going to continue throughout the way to find those quick wins for this next next January, next February. And then our goal is that we can take our feedback from our BLT, our building leadership teams, but also have a solution-focused survey at the end of the year with all of our teachers to kind of really say, what solutions can we look into to make it even better for next year for our master schedule?
Okay, so then as always, well, I guess not always, but the last time we presented as well, we talked about the brain states. We've talked about this a lot with our staff. And it's, it's flowing. It's not like you stay in this state or this state or that state. And I have to say the same, I thought about this, guys, sorry, with our phases. When we had our 4 phases listed, when we built those phases, we were like, we're gonna do phase 1, then we're gonna do phase 2, and it's almost like this. We constantly go back to phase 1, and then we might move down a little bit, and then we come up a little bit, because there's just so many new things going on. So, we're gonna do a little activity here tonight to kind of talk to you about, like, a big thing with our teachers and us is change. I have to pull up my picture of my notes, sorry. Is change. And with change, we just kind of want to put a little example to change. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, you all don't have to do this, but you definitely can if you want to join in on the fun. And teachers, you've already done this once before. So I just want you to take your hands and clasp them together, like with your fingers, and just leave them like that. Okay, now I want you to look down at your hands and look, is my right thumb over my left thumb? Is my left thumb over my right thumb? Are my thumbs not even touching? And just look at how your hand is. And you want to think to yourself, when did I first do this like this? Why did I do it like this? Like you just do it, right? Did you think, okay, so go like this, now do it again. Did it change or did it stay the same? It stayed the same, right? So when it stays the same like that, how does it feel? Safe, comfortable? Okay, now, it's a habit, right? Now we're just gonna shake things up a little bit. Okay, now I want you to switch your thumbs. So I want you to put your hands together, but put them the different way. So if you need to put them together and then switch it, whatever you need to do. Okay, now, do this. Put them together different again. I loved it. Mr. Henderson is like, you have to think a little bit, right? Okay, now how does it feel this time? Uncomfortable, right? Okay, that's our schedule this year. There's parts of it where we're like, this is great, this is awesome, it feels great. But there are parts of our schedule where it's like, okay, we thought this was going to be amazing, and at first it felt great, and now we're like, maybe that's a little uncomfortable. Maybe there's some tweaks we have to make to it. So that's kind of our connection with our brain with it. Like, everything we're doing is still changing. So we're still going through comfortable phases where we're down here and we can use our executive state, and we're going through survival states sometimes still too with our schedule. Constantly, okay, that worked well, but that didn't. How do we tweak that? That's constantly going on as we're going through the schedule. So that was just kind of our last activity, so you could, I don't know, feel how our teachers are feeling, how we're feeling as we're still navigating through this change that's going to take time for us to get through. So then our last slide is if I told them to put on there, we are not accepting questions, but they wouldn't do it. So what questions do you have for us?
So you talked about change. So how much change are you expecting to make for next year, right? So you completely changed it this year. So you talked about, so is it 50% good? Is it 80% good? Or are you only keeping 10% of it? Where are you at?
I was gonna say, I think more of it is good than bad. I don't really like the word bad, but that needs tweaked.
I just know from like 3rd through 12th, we've also just went through with our building leadership team, like the SAMI work, if you've heard of that before, or the ESSA work. And so a lot of it, we're trying to anchor into a lot of work that takes that collaboration and that co-planning and reflecting. And so it's good stuff happening. It's just gonna take some time. So I would have a certain percentage, but also it's a testament to the teachers that they're digging in and saying, we want to observe each other. Let's make this tighter together for our students. And so I think it's they're gaming to do it. And so we just need to refine some of those details to make it flow a little bit natural.
I'd say the planning together, having that ability to plan together, because we have those 6 specials that are the same. We would love to keep the same, right? Yeah. I don't know if you want to, I don't have the mic, you do, but that's all I was slowly getting him back. So that's the part that I think will stay the same. But then it's also with our shared staff, it just gets so tricky still. So we have to figure out the best way to share our staff, the best way, when's the best time to have interventions for 3rd through 5th versus when's the best time to have interventions for kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. So it's just those little things like that.
And recently, Ms. Sands and I had a conversation where kindergarten, I think, was giving some feedback to her saying, hey, we need to make this adjustment. Well, if she made the change at her building, then that impacted the time that they came over to my building, which would then impact the schedule that we have. And so I know that you made some tweaks, but I think they figured it out where they can change it so it didn't impact the schedule at Lincoln. But also too, like we share specials Lincoln-Salem. Well, we adjusted at Lincoln then it had impacted at Salem, so then I had to adjust the Salem schedule as well. So and even one thing that we did was at Lincoln, we adjusted when first grade has afternoon recess. Well, yeah, okay, we're gonna shift it up 15 minutes. Well, then all the interventionist schedules changed. And so at first we didn't really think like a 15-minute move up or down in the schedule was that big of a change, but they then had to go and change their entire schedule. So any little tweak does make a pretty big impact. That's why we're being very intentional with the changes that we are making now, and just making sure that we keep all of those things in mind when we go to potentially develop it again for 26, 27.
One more question. Mel, you have the oldest students, so what are your students saying about kindergarten never lived that in first and second grade, but 3 through 5 have lived those other schedules, so what has been the student feedback?
I think that'd be a great thing to kind of dive into them, and just, you know, I know at the kindergarten level we were talking about STEM and computer science looks a lot differently at kindergarten versus 3rd through 5th. I know that they're really enjoying dabbling in that, and how can we make that stronger, but I think that'd be a great end of the year, pair it with our staff survey as well, is to get either, you know, some one-on-one feedback or maybe even a survey with them just to kind of talk about it.
I was just going to say, we already see the hard work paying off. We're seeing incredible improvements, you know, through our state profile scores. We're seeing attendance rates improve already. You know, so it's paying off. You guys are doing great hard work. I kind of had a similar question, and I think you've already answered it, but I was just curious about just the general feel of the students throughout all of this, the social, emotional behavior of them. Do they seem to be adapting to these changes well? I mean, we spend so much time focused on these numbers and making sure that the admin and the building teams have what they need, which is all important, don't get me wrong, but are you guys just in day-to-day getting a sense that the kids are adapting well and thriving in all these changes?
Culture is the biggest thing, and so I know a teacher in the room too, and she probably can speak better than I can, but I just think that, you know, I am hearing that feedback from students on, especially like the Fridays, they're getting to extend on PE standards or art standards. I mean, that's huge for any district that, you know, some districts are taking away specials, we're adding on. How can we extend? And so that's exciting.
I mean, my kids don't know any different.
I think Mel made a great point about the Friday specials. That's one of our kind of our proud moments for our special, or schedule, is allowing our specials teachers that opportunity to provide extension or intervention. And even speaking from the parent perspective, I have twin daughters in 2nd grade, and two were both selected to go to that extension with Miss Peck, and that was all they could talk about. They're getting experience with instruments where they normally wouldn't get that experience until potentially 5th grade when band begins. So those are some proud moments we have with our schedule, and at least at the 1st and 2nd grade level, some feedback that we would have received.
One last thing too is that our building goals in each of the elementaries are really tied to those district goals that we shared on that one slide. And so the building leadership team and the teachers, it's a testament to them. They're giving that flow of communication back and forth of saying, they're comfortable in saying, hey, this might be a consideration, you know, for now or for later on. And so I appreciate that feedback as well.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from the community, parents, with the system that we've gone to?
You know, and just being very transparent, it's not easy to do a 6-day rotation schedule. So we're going to hear about that, because it's hard when we had, so a perfect example is the other day when we had a late start, we changed it to a day 0. It was our first late start, we changed it to a day 0. On day 0 we don't have specials. After that happened, we were like, this just doesn't feel right. It was like my thumb was in the wrong spot. So then we talked, and we said, let's talk to our specialist teachers and see if they want it to be a day 0, because if it changes to a day 0, then every other day after that changes on the calendar as well. Or would they rather make those classes up on Fridays when they can make them up? And the specialist teachers were like, keep it the day it's supposed to be. We'd rather make the classes up that we missed. So that's a shift that we made, listening to the specialist teachers on how they would have rather had it that way. So that's a shift that we made. Another thing is, I'll say my September, we try to send home calendars that say the days on it, rotation days on it. And I didn't get a month out, and I had a parent reach out to me and go, that's really nice. Like, it gives us something to talk to our kids about. We know what they need to take to school. And I was like, yep, nope, note taken. And then I just make sure you have it out now. So I'm not saying that parents, I mean, it's not easiest for them, but yeah, exactly.
Function.
Right, and the teachers are, and everybody is, but I mean, so yeah, we've heard things about it, and so then we just shift and we work with it to try to make it easier along the way.
When do you want to come back and talk to us?
Katie Sands was actually offering to come next time, but we love to present and share all the great things happening in elementary, so.
We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, superintendent report.
Okay, several things in the superintendent report. We did have our first school improvement advisory committee meeting last Wednesday, December 3rd. As Ashley mentioned, we spent a lot of time on sharing. This was it was more informational than conversational, as we've done in the past. By design, we wanted to share information. We talked about our collaborative culture, the things that go into our collaborative culture. We talked about results. We went through the Iowa School Performance Profiles and the great data that we're seeing, our academic data, our attendance data, our college and career readiness data, all seeing improvements and good gains, and there's more data coming. I'll leave it at that, Dr. Butler. There's more data coming soon that we're really excited to be able to share with you. So it was a good meeting. We meet again in February, the 18th of February. Facilities Ad Hoc Committee, just a quick update. Let's see if I can get the screen back. There it is. I don't know why that's like that. Just a quick update on the Facilities Ad Hoc Committee. Our next meeting is next week, meeting number 3 on Thursday, December 18th at the High School Media Center right here. That is our third and final meeting. We have talked about our current realities. We developed a North Star statement. And then we talked at our last meeting about the gaps between our current realities and our North Star statement. And so our next meeting is about proposals. What is it going to take to get to our desired reality for all of our elementary students in terms of what they experience at their attendance centers? And so that's what we will talk about on December 18th. Actually tomorrow, one of the things that was mentioned at our last meeting was, hey, can we, a number of people who haven't been to Central Campus, could we look at Central Campus? And so we came up with a couple of dates for people to view Central Campus. Dr. Murley is coming tomorrow. He'll be here at 1:30. he wanted to see all of our elementary buildings, so Dr. Murley and I will go around to our elementary buildings, and then I will be at the activity center tomorrow from 3:30 to 6:30, and people can they can wander, or they can. I'm happy to take them on a tour of the buildings on Central Campus, 3:30 till 6:30. If anybody's interested in that, you're welcome to come, and we'll do that again next Monday, a week from today, on December 15th, 3:30 until 6:30. So that is an update on the work of that committee. We've talked a little bit already tonight about property taxes, and I wanted to share with you, we get data from the School Board Association regularly, and this particular piece of data is fiscal year 26. Again, that's the fiscal year that we are in. School district property tax rates. So I'll zoom in on this. We'll look at the legend here first. Anything that is the darker green is the lowest rate in the state is $7.98 up to $10. And then anything in the lighter green is just over $10 to $12 per thousand as a property tax rate. Any of the lightest is 12 to 14. Light blue, 14 to 16, and then the darker blue is $16 up to the highest rate in the state, which is $19.08. So I'll scroll over here. We can kind of look at southeast Iowa just a little bit. As you can see, Mount Pleasant is in that lighter green, in that second tier. Our property tax rate for this fiscal year is $11.97. And so you can just, again, the legend, the lighter areas were higher, the blue areas got higher, and then the darker blue was even a bit higher. I thought it was interesting to take a look at some of this data. They provide some additional data here. But from fiscal year 2012 to fiscal year 2026, the maximum property tax rate back in 2012 was as high as $23.30. And so the max this year, fiscal year 26, is $19.08. So I just think that the movement of this data over time is interesting, and how it has closed a little bit, come together a little bit. The minimum rate back in 2012 was $8.30, and it's stayed fairly steady to this $7.98 here, and the average being $13.23 over that 14-15 year period. So just thought that was interesting. Again, Mount Pleasant this year is, for fiscal year 26, is $11.97 per thousand. And I think that's all I wanted to show you on that. I wanted to give you a quick legislative update, because we've talked about the legislature, and we had a Great Prairie Area Education Agency superintendent's meeting on Wednesday, December 3rd. Dave Doughton is the school administrators of Iowa. He's the lobbyist, he's the legislative liaison. Here are a few of the things that he mentioned. We already talked about state supplemental aid being discussed at 0% to 2%. The concern is how low SSA affects districts on the budget guarantee. So we just went through that whole exercise, and I shared with you what that budget guarantee is going to do to our local property tax rates. Well, if the legislature goes with the lower the SSA, the greater the number of districts that are going to be on the budget guarantee, which affects local property taxes. So it's kind of a I don't know whether you call it a catch-22 or whether you call it ironic, because there is focus this year. There will be focus this year on trying to lower property taxes at the legislative level. Lower SSA does not help that because districts are going to have to levy for additional property tax. So kind of an interesting quandary there. As I mentioned, property taxes, now these are his words, these are Dave Doughton's words, not my words. I took them right from him. The governor wants to get something done with property taxes. Again, these are his words. He heard yesterday that they were not going to pass. They were probably going to pass something just to say that they did, then have to fix it next year. It's going to be hard to agree on something that won't increase somebody's property taxes. Dave has heard that a freeze on retirees' property taxes is a possibility. This is interesting. SAVE, the 1 cent sales tax, it has been floated by some legislators to funnel some of those dollars away from school districts, which would be devastating. Excuse me. That will be devastating to school districts, especially since they have limited our capacity to general obligation bond to 1 time per year. That would be very difficult to deal with for a lot of school districts. E-Verify, most likely there will be legislation to require districts to use it. The FBI background checks, they don't contain information about immigration status. This E-Verify it's in the hopper for us. We are the company that we use and how we use it has an E-Verify option, so we will be implementing E-Verify. Student behavior, legislators have had multiple questions about this, there's been rumors, even talking about AEAs spending special education dollars to form behavior centers for some of the most extreme cases. We have heard testimony from districts, even in our own AEA, about extreme behavior cases from students, and the only option for placement is out of the state, and it costs them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to place students out of state. So there's been some conversation about that. And then unspent authorized budget, they've convened a committee to study unspent authorized budget balances, and some legislators believe that unspent authorized budgets should be limited. So that is some of the conversation that I heard from the legislative liaison on Wednesday. So that's the legislative update. Just a reminder, a few reminders here. No work session in December. January committee meeting schedule, just to make everybody aware, again, the first Thursday and the first Friday in January, that's January 1 and January 2. So we won't be meeting January 1 and January 2. So we will meet as committees on January 8th and January 9th. And you guys will, when we get to the organizational meeting tonight, you guys will form your committees, and I don't know, maybe we'll decide to meet totally different days. I don't know, but okay. And then number 7, I IASB, the Ready, Set, Govern professional development is here, January 14th. So I would encourage all Mount Pleasant board members to put that on your schedule. Professional development for board members. We are hosting that. We are the regional site for Ready, Set, Govern. So there will be numbers of districts attending, superintendents and board members we will be here in the media center that evening on January 14th. Got information on the Day on the Hill. Several of us have gone in the past to the Day on the Hill. That is scheduled to meet with legislators that statewide. That is scheduled for Monday, January 26th. That's the superintendent's report.
Any questions?
I have one. For the Ready, Set, Govern, is there registration required or just arrive?
We do need to register, so you can let me know, and I will, Cindy will get us registered.
I'd like to be registered.
You're there, all right. Very good, very good. Sounds good.
All right, next we have board committee reports. Minutes are in your packets. Anybody want to share any highlights from committee meetings? Those things are coming up in business.
Yep.
All right, other board communication? Erin and I briefly had a conversation that we're not going to share in detail tonight. Mark and myself and Erin and John and Jessica all attended the school board convention last month. Very fruitful few days, lots of information. So we're not going to share tonight, but we will plan on sharing some outcomes, what we learned from our breakout sessions and the keynote speakers in January. We'll have some conversations. We'll send out our notes and then we'll have some more conversations at board or committee meetings in January. Anything else? Any other board communication?
I just wanted to follow up on your legislative update and what you spoke about prior with property taxes. In kind of elaboration of what they plan on addressing, we do know from last legislative session that a lot of the talk was to propose putting a severe cap on what public school districts were able to levy at the property tax level. Their thought on that, at least through what they shared, was that instead of that money going locally, it would go to the state, and the state would then determine how it's best to go to the school district. So just a lot of potential handcuffs that could be put on public school district finances at a time when that would be very inopportune. So a lot to pay attention to there, but big implications on property taxes for this next legislative session.
All right, moving on to consent items. We have personnel and open enrollment. We can take these as individually or together. Are there any questions on personnel or open enrollment? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Jessica, roll call?
Flint.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Overberg.
Yes.
Williamson.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Hurd.
Yes.
We have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business.
At this time, the board went into closed session. Part of the outcome of that meeting is Angie Blint will continue to be president, and Aaron Williams is now vice president of the Board of Education of Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
Thanks for watching, and thanks to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, Iowa Technology Systems, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Merry Christmas and stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.